Greetings, brothers and sisters. So, this is my backup channel. I'm just reminding people to please subscribe here because Gratefulness Meditation Apocalypse, POTF. Um, you know, for all the reasons that I would say that my backup channel is a good thing to subscribe to if you want to stay in contact and receive my content in the future. Bunch of stuff to get to. I want to start here with an old Arnold Schwarzenegger movie called Total, which is I watched bits and pieces of it over a couple of days and took some screenshots. You can see here this actress has, she's bathed in red light, and she has this pyramid capstone of the pyramid and the Eye of Horus there. Um, I see this type of symbolism so much, and I just ignore it, or I point it out to my wife, or she points it out to me, or whatever. But I just don't cover it anymore because of all this stuff. But there was so much in this movie. Also, mind control and split personality stuff. And I'm going to get into that with the new Flash trailer. They have, that stuff there as well. And then I watched the TV show with my wife, and it was horrible, and I got a whole narrative to do about that. So the second image here, you can see the phallic image behind Arnold there, right? We'll get a little closer there. It's in Oldenburg. There's just a lot of this kind of stuff. There's a lot of things I wasn't really paying all that much attention to it, and I missed the beginning of the movie. This was one of my favorite probably my favorite Arnold Schwarzenegger movies. The Terminator movies, I don't want to call them Schwarzenegger movies. He was in them, but, this was, I thought, the best movie he made, and his acting is so bad.
Come back to me.
Bullshit.
Boop.
What's bullshit, Mr. Brave? That you're having a paranoid episode triggered by acute neurochemical trauma?
And that's a young Sharon J. Stone. Her acting is so bad. But compared to Arnold, she's like, one of the greatest actors. And this guy is the guy who put him in this total recall program. You go on some sort of hallucination vacation, right, in the future. And this guy's saying that you're lost in your hallucination. He's come to bring him back out because, it's all about mind control. And there's here, we'll see it here.
Or that you're really an invincible secret agent from Mars who's the victim of an interplanetary conspiracy to make him think he's a lowly construction worker.
Did someone say conspiracy?
Stop punishing yourself, Doug. You're a fine, upstanding man. You have a beautiful wife that loves you. Your whole life is ahead of you. But you've got to want to return to reality.
If there's something I do, then what?
Swallow this.
What is it?
It's a symbol of your desire to return to reality.
No, it's a red pill. It's a red pill. We can all see it's a red pill.
You wouldn't hurt me, would you, sweetheart? Sweetheart, be reasonable. After all, we're married.
Consider that a divorce.
That was your wife? What a
Boop. So there it was, 666. I almost didn't show you that. I was like, why did I even put this in here? I don't know. I'd forgotten, but there was the 666 there.
It's mine.
Boop.
Forget.
Oh, don't take my word for it. Someone you trust wants to talk to you.
Who is it this time? My mother? Howdy, Quaid. If you're listening to this, that means that Quater is dead and you've let us live. I knew you wouldn't let me down. Sorry for the shit I've put you through, but hey, what are friends for? I would like to wish you happiness and long life, old buddy, but unfortunately, this is not gonna happen. See, It's my body I've got there, and I want it back. Sorry to be an Indian giver, but I was here first. So, adios, amigo, and thanks for not getting yourself killed. Hey, maybe we meet in our dreams.
So, like I said, the whole movie's built on a premise of mind control. And then there's the fractured personality, the schism, all these things that we've seen so much. He's just so weird. His face is so weird. But this looks like a CERN particle collider, right? Like that's what the CERN particle collider looks like, the circle beyond him. But he's so weird. He's a horrible actor. He's just so weird.
Be still. Fighting just makes it hurt.
Again, bathed in red. This is where his memory was going to be wiped and his old personality was going to be made, pulled forward. So this is a hologram, which you'll see in a moment. But this scene is so bad because they are unloading on him with futuristic machine guns. And since he isn't there, it's a hologram, they are literally firing at each other, right? And they do it for a long time. So no one else knows about holograms here, or like they all do, because it's part of their, So they're, when they were firing hundreds of bullets into this guy and he didn't die, did not one person go, "Hey, I think it might be a hologram because we have that technology and we're using it all the time." I just realized I didn't watch the end of the movie. I want to talk about this other TV show that's god awful. But it all is tied into this wokeness, which I'll get into. Let's go to the Flash thing here.
My name is Kara.
I'm Barry. We're Barry.
My face.
So my face.
So I saw this trailer a little bit on, I was watching a basketball game. And I realized there were two flashes. And I didn't record it because I didn't think about it. I was going to just find it here. I thought I'd find it here, but I didn't. But in the trailer, they take a picture of Batman or something, one of them. And one of these Barrys said to the other Barry, "It's for our future children." And it almost sounded like they were going to reproduce together, by the way that it was phrased. Now, it's some sort of multiverse he's created, the Flash, by going back in time to save his parents. And there's multiple Batmans. There's Michael Keaton Batman and Ben Affleck Batman. Very similar to, like they keep on like ripping off Marvel. It's very similar to the multiverse with Spider-Man where they brought in all the old Spider-Man. And that wasn't a good movie either. So this is going to be horrible. But this multiple personality woke stuff that's going on with these two Barrys, right? It's just so prevalent. And let's get into this other TV show that I saw. Okay, so this is the show Spy Among Friends. These are the friends here. The one sort of famous actor from that where he lost his short-term memory, whatever it was. But this is the character I want to talk about here. This is a character called Lily Thomas. I was hoping to have a shot of her with her husband at the show, and I'll get to all that in a moment. But she was a more common person. The other guys are elitists, aristocracy type people, which I'll get into in a moment as well. But at the end of the show, spoiler alert, they talk about these are real life people, and it says it's based in a nonfiction novel. Spoiler alert: this sucks. It was a waste of time. So it's based in a true story, and they go through the character. And it says what happened to all of them. These are true, characters, and then it gets to Lily Thomas and it says Lily Thomas never existed. So what it is the two main characters are good friends, and they're these elitist spies. They join private clubs, and at one point, one of the characters gets his wife to get them in at the Queen's Art Museum, and the Queen's there, and they have this access to the upper levels of society. All these these spy groups. This the whole spy movie and the whole spy movie genre. The spy is full of these elitist rich people, right? We're talking about Anderson Cooper and Tucker Carlson possibly being in the CIA, right? All these types of people go to Yale and Harvard, Yale particularly, where they're recruited, and they're, skull and bones that created the CIA, all these things, right? In Britain, it's the same thing, even more so. And these guys like to play like spies, and they're playing all these mind games, and they're just in it like for the goof of it, the thrill of it, right? Playing with other people's lives, right? Making decisions and influencing whatever. People's, people are dying because of their actions, right? Spies and all this stuff, and they're held up like they're these great people, but they're elitist scum, who just, they're not maybe on the level of the controllers, but they get to manipulate the game. And they talk about these guys playing games. And so these two friends, one of them has been a Russian spy for a number of years, and they find him out, and they go to Beirut, and the guy lets him go. One of the friends lets him escape back to Russia, and they work for MI6 or SIS. I couldn't understand the whole thing. It's unbelievably slow. I mean, I like these British shows. My wife and I like these British shows because they're low on special effects, and they're more character development. But this one was again supposedly based in a true story. And it's 6 hours to get to, probably could have been done in like, I don't know, an hour. Like, it's not, that epic of a story. And this woman who is a common woman who's from, not the elitist circle, and she's a woman. And this is back in the 60s. So this is back way, when I was first born. Like, I was born in the 60s, right? This woman's debriefing or kind of interrogating this one upper level guy, right? And she's a lower level person, but it's very thorough. And they sort of partner up, towards episode 3 or 4, because she realizes he's playing some bigger game here, right? And she ends up retiring, and they meet at the end of the movie because she wants to be more with her husband. And I'll get into all this in a moment. And he says to her, "Well, while you're retiring, we need somebody like you, like just goofy, whatever." And she said, "You want to just leave it up to me and my chaps," right? We were making fun of this pretty heavily, the chaps and the, just all of it, right? This elitist stuff, because they're, just playing games and doing these things, and, they're disconnected from the common folk and women. And she ends up working for his, MI6. She was working for MI5, and then she graduates up to be, working with him, right? And, I knew she never existed because early on I saw this character, and I'm like, this character's out of place. Like, this is a woke, this is supposed to be, based in a like nonfiction book, a factual book. And a woman wouldn't be in that position, especially in England, right? I mean, certainly not America at that time, but even more so in England, where she's interrogating, basically someone from the British aristocracy. And, again, there's all these references to, there's another woman in power there, and they're making reference about being women. But like, you see at the end of the movie, she didn't exist. They made this character up to be woke, right? So, what would be good about this movie is it's true. It's based on a true story. But they inserted this woke character. On top of it, she's married to a doctor who's like African, black guy, right? So she has a biracial relationship. And she's working for the MI6. interrogating somebody in the upper levels, holding somebody accountable there. And it's all about, there's a whole woke thing going on that didn't take place in reality, right? They just inserted this thing in there. Like there was, very few biracial relationships. Like I had a best friend in high school who was, he was, biracial. Like he called himself mulatto. That was the term back then, right? And it's the only person I knew like that. I mean, for a number of years. Like you see a lot of interracial relationships now, but when I grew up, there weren't very many. Less in, in England, and the chances of this woman, the like woman who's in MI5, which is it's all guys. It's a guy thing, right? And they, these women characters. I mean, if they were secretaries or something, but even that. But this character didn't exist and wouldn't have existed, and they just put this narrative in there that this woman, a common woman, a woman who wasn't, from the upper ranks of society, who's married to, is in an interracial marriage, and like back in the '60s, and a TV show that's supposed to be authentic. Like I don't care about any of these things, right? Like I watch. When I was a kid, I watched all kinds of different TV shows about different, and movies and things. I liked diversity, natural diversity. Like I don't, have something like everyone has to be white or have to be men. Like I don't care about that. I didn't care about that when I was a kid. I don't care about it now, right? But they're forcing these woke narratives and putting them in places that they just don't line up with everything else, especially if it's a time period piece like this, right? And so it's just ridiculous. Like it's, like what's going on here? Like, like you're supposed to be making something that's authentic, and then you just put in this woke narrative. At the end of the thing, they're saying, you need to hold us accountable, us chaps, us rich chaps who are playing with people's lives and whatever. And, that didn't exist in the 60s. I mean, it's just, like, I mean, all of these things. So, yeah, now I want to get into, like, just other stuff. Get into Tucker Carlson and the Fettermans and whatever. But, it's all, like, tied together. It's just ridiculous. And anyways. Oh, yeah, one more thing. They crap on the Russians, which is, they're bringing about all this Russian stuff, right? Like Russia's enemy number one. Again, after, for years it was Muslim terrorists. Now it's, all these types of movies because of, everything that's going on. So there's that agenda as well. Like these agenda-driven shows and TV, if it's subtle, okay. If it's a good movie and TV show, you get to push a little bit of agenda. But when it's made poorly, it lingers on, it lasts forever, and then they just force feed you all this like woke stuff and how bad the Russians are bad, the worst, Russia. I mean, it's just like it's insulting to us all, right? The stupidity that they think exists, and I guess it does exist. So, but as like a stupid person would have trouble watching this thing anyway, right? Like it's it's hard to. It's very nuanced and subtle, and they don't tell you what's going on. You got to kind of figure it out. And then they push this like remedial woke agenda. All right, let's get into the Fettermans here. Okay, Jezebel, J. Fetterman. Bunch of pretty things this week, thanks to all the broken pieces sent to me from all over the country. And seriously, the sweetness, it's too much. So I guess she had broken pieces sent to her from all over the country. And, it's all this brokenness. It's these broken pieces, right? Because that's what they're trying to sell you. Brokenness is okay. And then a very serious political person asked me who I was most looking forward to seeing at the WHCD. And I replied with no hesitation, Ariana Maddox from Vanderpump Rules. I don't know much about Vanderpump Rules, but it looks pretty sucky. But here's what I really want to show you. Zhao is ready for this weekend. I was born ready. Like, what do you mean he was ready for this weekend? This is like here he is there. And there he is with some sort of mini-me, right? I bet this guy's, more suited to be a congressman. Your daily reminder that you are not alone, and if you feel like I am speaking to you, I am. And this is the People magazine article. And I'll get into that article in a moment. Inspiration personified. Is she from Vanderpump Rules? 4 years ago, I went to every county in PA to talk about marijuana. Veterans were unanimously for having cannabis as a medical option for PTSD. This is just common sense. Yeah, to a guy who can't complete his own sentences. John Fetterman was so depressed he got lost walking around D.C. John Fetterman detailed the extent of his struggles with depression in an interview released on Thursday. This is the People magazine. When he revealed he would become so disoriented because of the illness that he would get lost walking around the nation's capital. He would just get lost there. I was depressed and I didn't even realize I was depressed. I didn't even understand it. This to me just became the new normal. I wasn't realizing that I wasn't eating. I didn't realize that I wasn't really drinking much. I dropped 25 pounds, and sometimes I would say things, incoherent things, and would be kind of just disoriented and getting lost walking around D.C. Well, we saw that before. We saw that in the debate. We saw that pretty much throughout your, whatever it is, right? So this guy's broken, and he's not suited to do any sort of a job. Like, you can't trust somebody in this state, disoriented, like he's completely unaware of what's going on around him. And then somebody sent me this.
And we should all support replacing the lead pipes and ensuring that everyone has clean, safe, clean drinking water.
This is recent. He's pitching for this guy, whoever, who is some sort of senator running for re-election. So the guy's in a mess. He's an absolute freaking mess. We've known this for a while, and it isn't getting better, right? So there's that. So I want to show you how staged this Tucker Carlson thing is. It's just the contrived part of the show. Tucker Carlson reemerges targeting the U.S. media political system. And so they show his speech here. They show it. Like he looks weird here. This is his actual tweet. His face looks weird. Like he's not whatever. He looks like Trumpty Dumpty there. But they won't tell you where it's from. They say it's, releasing a videotape statement, and they don't say it's on his Twitter feed. And I look for it, and of course Google has gamed the search engines, their algorithms to only push like CNN or MSNBC, so they don't show you the raw footage, and they only show you part of it, which is really frustrating. It took me a while to find it. I found it on The Hill, and I think that's a Republican sort of leaning newspaper or media, whatever it is. And they said it was from a Twitter thing. So I went and found the Twitter thing. This was also something they had. Tucker Carlson is out at Fox News, but welcome on Russia TV. They're talking about RT. There's this. I'll show you the Tucker Carlson thing again. Highly offensive Tucker Carlson messages stun Fox News' executives before exit. This is some commercial here. I'm not sure what it's for. But here it is. So that's weird. So they say this here. Fox News executives and board members were stunned after the company's lawyers shared details of private messages from Tucker Carlson that featured deeply offensive, crude remarks. The New York Times reported Wednesday. Yeah, but they don't tell you what it is, right? So they don't tell you what these crude remarks are. And then the whole thing with this, I'll show you this woman who filed the lawsuit. Like she's come out of her, whatever it is, right? Ghoul coffin. One person briefed on the contents of the redacted material said one of the messages was particularly offensive and adding to the concern at the top of the company. So they said it was because he prayed. They said it was because of, there's this idea it was because of the Pfizer stuff, right? They're putting out all these, they're saying it's because of Dominion, but we don't know what it is because they haven't said, right? Like, it's just like with COVID. Did it come from a lab? Did it come from pangolin? Did it come from bats or something else, right? They give you all these possibilities and none of them are accurate.
Good evening, it's Tucker Carlson. One of the first things you
Hey, Tucker, what's up behind you?
realize when you step outside the noise for a few days is how many genuinely nice people there are in this country. Kind
Yeah, that's not what I really...
and decent people, people who really care about what's true, and a bunch of hilarious people also. A lot of
Yeah, there's a lot of hilarious people unintentionally.
those. It's got to be the majority of the population, even now. So that's heartening. The other thing you notice when you take a little time off is how unbelievably stupid most of the debates you see on television are.
I don't need to take time off. I was covering this, I don't know, yesterday, right?
They're completely irrelevant. They mean nothing. In 5 years, we won't even remember that we had them. Trust me, as someone who's participated.
It's not 5 years. It is, a month. Like most of the things that people are talking about, nobody cares about. Like people don't care about COVID anymore. It dominated America for 2 years, the world, and now people barely talk about it. It's like it didn't even exist. Everything I've talked about this myself for forever. Like you don't need to take time off to realize that. Most of the stuff you're talking about means nothing. It's all kind of a distraction. And, it just hides the fact that our civilization is collapsing around us.
Someone who's participated. And yet at the same time, and this is the amazing thing, the undeniably big topics, the ones that will define our future, get virtually no discussion at all. War, civil liberties, emerging science, demographic change, corporate power, natural resources. When was the last time you heard a legitimate debate about any of those issues? It's been a long time.
Been a long time, Tucker. Been a long time.
Debates like that are not permitted in American media. Both political parties and their donors have reached consensus on what benefits them, and they actively collude to shut down any conversation about it. Suddenly, the United States looks very much like a one-party state.
Yeah, we've already known this for years, right? Like,
That's a depressing realization, but it's not permanent. Our current orthodoxies won't last. They're brain dead. Nobody actually believes them. Hardly anyone's life is improved by them. This moment is too inherently ridiculous to continue, and so it won't. The people in charge know this. That's why they're hysterical and aggressive. They're afraid. They've given up persuasion. They're resorting to force. But it won't work. When honest people say what's true, calmly and without embarrassment, they become powerful.
no, they don't, right? They become targets. I mean, you become powerful in a way, but he's not, come on. And I'll show you how this is completely contrived in a moment, like how the story just doesn't add up. It has to do with this woman.
At the same time, the liars who've been trying to silence them shrink, and they become weaker. That's the iron law of the universe. True things prevail. Where can you still find Americans saying true things? There aren't many places left, but there are some, and that's enough. As long as you can hear the words, there is hope.
Okay, that's like stupid. Like that's so like remedial. Somebody who hasn't been doing this for, he's not really doing this because he's a, shill.
See you soon.
See you soon. Where are you going to show up? All right. So this is how we know it's fake, because this is Abby Grossberg, right? Now, Abby Grossberg showed up on MSNBC to talk about Tucker Carlson. She's suing Fox News and Tucker Carlson as a former producer who said that there were rude things being said and misogynistic things and whatever else, right? Nothing really substantial. Nothing that anybody would think would be really, worth a lawsuit.
I heard the news. I was starting to get these texts come in from friends, and it just said, a few words said Tucker Carlson. I thought, okay, maybe it was the 60 Minutes episode that they're...
The couple of ghouls here, I mean, they're both so ghouly. Marsha Wallace.
Talking about it, and I started to write back, oh yeah, I saw the EPS thing.
And she's like, Ghoul Central here. Like, what's going on there?
This is terrible. I was there while we were doing this kind of coverage, and they said, no, he's fired. And it was literally, what, are you sure? because obviously, I'm at the center of a lot of this.
She is at the center, so, who are you?
And it felt surreal, and there were a lot of mixed emotions that went through my head. There were feelings.
Mixed emotions that went through her head, because that's where you feel emotions in your head. You feel There were mixed emotions going through her head.
First, yes. And then also the reality that you don't want anything bad to happen to anybody. But at the same time, Tucker and his executive producer, Justin Wells, who was also fired, really were responsible for breaking me. And
they broke her. She's another broken person because of her work on Fox News. And she doesn't want anything bad to happen to anybody. And nothing's bad because, or at least Tucker Carlson's going to get another, more highly paying gig in a moment because he was, has an audience. People say that, but they don't mean it, right? I don't want anything bad to happen to anybody else. Like, the majority of people are right now waiting for something bad to happen to somebody. Like, it could be a political figure, it could be Trump, it could be Biden, it could be a personality like Alec Baldwin, it could be a celebrity, but it could be someone in your life or multiple people. Like, you polled most people, if they're going to be honest, they're like, yeah, there's like 3 or 4 people right now that I really want bad things to happen to. And when they do happen, I'll be really happy, like, it'll be a celebration, like, I mean, that's how people are right now. The majority of people are waiting for bad things to happen to other people. Like, she's, but, I want to get into how fake this is in a moment here.
And making my life a living hell. So there is a feeling of justice, but it's only partial.
So I didn't see anything in her lawsuit that would make her life a living hell. But there's clearly a liberal person, right? And there's almost nothing on her, other than this story right here. This is her Twitter page. Now, she has no background. She's from New York, obviously a New York person, right? And, I mean, she's got 11 total tweets. But there's nothing other than this, right? So she has no presence on social media. Everything started here on April 24th. So this is her only presence on social media. She's a person in media, and she has no presence in social media. She doesn't have an Instagram page, nothing, right? And these things should all be public because that's what you do when you're in media. And she just opened this Twitter page to talk about Tucker Carlson. So she's a liberal person that you can't find anything about her, any of her opinions on anything, because I was wanting to see some of her liberal opinions. Why would Fox hire this woman? Why would Fox need this woman working for them? It's a liberal, woman producer who is coming into a male-dominated toxic environment, which we all know was documented with all this stuff that was, sexual harassment, all things going on. We know the news media is crude, and we know how much there's opposition to Fox News in the liberal community. They're at war. Why would Fox News hire this woman? Why in God's name would they do that? They were looking for problems. They couldn't find a Republican producer, somebody who agrees with their point of view. This person doesn't believe in, she's talked about conspiracy theories and all these things, that there was a conspiratorial nature to what's going on, at Fox News, right? And with Tucker Carlson. And that was misogynistic and sexist, even though she wasn't harassed personally. Like, her stuff was, she was just witnessing some of the stuff going on there. Like, none of it was like things that you're going, oh, that's fireable offense. It's goofy, weird stuff. And like she said that they were, let me see if I can find that. Producer suing Carlson for sex discrimination celebrates his departure. So this was from NPR. This was that the Speaker Nancy Pelosi, the people, her lawsuit claims, among other things, that mocked up photogenic images depicted the U.S. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi in a bathing suit, revealing her cleavage. Now, that is worth a lawsuit. And it said on 2 separate occasions on which of 2 female candidates for Michigan governor they would rather have sex with, right? There was a poll. Staffers were polled. to see which candidate, these two women running against each other, Gretchen Carlson and her kind of Republican younger lookalike, which, is that, this is the kind of stuff that offended this liberal producer, and she's suing them over. Tucker Carlson's departure from Fox News is a admission of systematic lying and bullying and conspiracy mongering claimed by our client. This is, a woman who's, Tucker Carlson was, dabbling in truther narratives, and they hired a liberal woman who's against these things and is offended by any of these types of, adolescent male behaviors that go on in these news media rooms. And they didn't think there was going to be a problem by hiring this woman, Fox News. Like, is she even really a producer there? Is this person they're just coughing up some kind of actress, right? Because she doesn't have a social media presence. So, this thing looks completely staged. Like, this lawsuit is not, there's nothing in it. This is a step towards accountability for the election lies and baseless conspiracy theories that spread by Fox News, something I witnessed firsthand. Well, why would you let this person witness it firsthand? Why would you hire somebody like this? This is some justice for America's people, and for Fox News viewers who've been manipulated and lied to for years, all in an attempt to boost the channel's ratings and revenue. Why would this be? There's no reason for her to be hired. Former Fox News producer Abby Grossman calls the network a big corporate machine that destroys people. Like, she didn't know what Fox News was before. This is from a while back.
Took a job with Maria Bartiromo at Fox News 4 years ago. She thought she was advancing her career.
We were known as a dynamic duo at Fox, and our
just the ghoulish eyes, the panda eyes.
ratings were skyrocketing.
Now she's suing Fox, claiming she was harassed and retaliated against.
On the first page of your lawsuit, you say, Fox News fosters a toxic workplace where truth remains a fugitive while female workers are verbally violated.
So she doesn't believe in the narratives there at Fox News. Republican-based, right-wing-based narratives. That she says the truth, which is the liberal truth, right? That's what she means there. And so, again, this looks so staged.
Violated on almost a daily basis by a poisonous and entrenched patriarchy.
Those are liberal words. Poisonous and entrenched patriarchy. She didn't know that about Fox News before she went there. Like, she grew up in New York. She's liberal. She knew nothing about Fox News. Worked there for 4 years. Saw nothing when she worked for Maria Bartiromo. And then she worked for Tucker Carlson, and she's like, oh my God, this place is toxic, and it's all this toxic masculinity is everywhere. I don't know why, no one even told me about Fox.
Those are strong words.
I stand by them.
I stand by those strong words.
After being denied a promotion, she moved to Tucker Carlson's show.
Women were objectified. It was a game. It was a sport. Female politicians who came on the show were mocked. There were debates about who they'd rather sleep with.
Oh my God, that was happening in a seedy newsroom? That doesn't happen on CNN and MSNBC? That was happening. It doesn't happen at the New York Times. Come on, right? Like, what are you talking about here?
All the time.
But that's not the only reason she's suing. She says Fox lawyers have tried to turn her and Bartiromo into sacrificial female lambs to protect high-ranking men at the network from Dominion Voting System's $1.6 billion lawsuit. Dominion alleges Fox knew or should have known it was airing false claims about Dominion rigging the 2020 election.
There has been a massive and coordinated effort to...
Yeah, that happened. Remember this dope?
To steal this election.
Those claims were made on 5 Fox shows by President Trump's lawyers Rudy Giuliani and Sidney Powell, including Bartiromo's. Grossberg says she and Bartiromo believe they were just doing what the network wanted.
What were you told about fact-checking Sidney Powell and Rudy Giuliani?
There will be no fact-checking. I received a text message from my boss saying, you can let Maria know there will be no fact-checking today.
Okay, so she's really ghoulish. They don't have any substantial claims here. Nothing, right? There's nothing here that would make this lawsuit have any bite. Those are the biggest things that they're saying. That they mocked up some photos of Nancy Pelosi. They talked about who they'd rather bang of these two, Michigan governors, whatever it is, right? Candidates for governor. And, that's uncomfortable and it's immature, but it's not uncommon in these newsrooms. Like they talk about what a horrible, soulless place CNN is to work and how cynical and competitive and narcissistic everybody is. And, these networks all suck. Why would you hire this ghoulish, MNFer, right? Like, doesn't make any sense. Why would you want a liberal working there?
Why did you go work for him? I was working with Maria Bartiromo at the time. I knew as a female that I would never get the executive producer title there, working on that show.
Because, they're against women there, so that's why I went to work there.
The opportunity came up to go to Tucker, and it was a promotion. I would be overseeing a team. I would also be overseeing 3 different platforms. And I liked the staff, honestly, when I interviewed with them. And I was hoping that it would be more professional and what he was portraying on air was just a show. And unfortunately, that wasn't the case.
So you thought the stuff that he was doing on air was worse than what he was like off the air. Like, they're all fake. They're all posing. So you know nothing about news media. You know nothing. You know nothing about any of this stuff, right? Is that what you're saying? This is a person who, like, again, doesn't have a social media presence, looks very liberal, it's talking like a liberal, right? And, comes out of the woodwork and now is at the center of this thing. And it's just so contrived and fake, right? And if Tucker Carlson was a truther, you would say, yeah, this person didn't even work for me, right? Whatever it was, right? Or was a plant or whatever you want to say here. Just, it makes no sense, doesn't add up. So to go along with that, Don Lemon says it's not in my nature to be mad at CNN. Don's one of the biggest whiners and, here.
Are you still in shock?
No.
Really?
No, I'm a very resilient person.
No, I'm not in shock. I knew I sucked for years. I was lucky to keep the job as long as I do. I'm trying to get that 25 bill.
I've had a very full life with lots of twists and turns. I come from strong, sturdy stock in Louisiana, and
stock. I got plenty of stock.
I am lucky enough to be in a position where I don't have to worry about, not having a place to live or a home or whatever. I have people around me who love me, including this gentleman right here.
This guy right here.
So I'm good.
He's good. He's got it all.
Are you mad? Are you angry?
No, I never get angry. No.
I'm not because that's not in my nature. I'm not an angry person. I'm not
an angry person. No.
Mad.
So what are your emotions about it?
My emotions are onward. There's a reason that this happened.
Onward. I'm going to go onward.
And then we'll see what happens in the future.
So I was too busy mocking him and I missed something important he said here.
There's a reason that this happened.
The reason that this happened is you suck at your job. You suck as a person. You're unlikable and unwatchable, and you can't carry an audience, even after years of having CNN prop you up, right? The reason isn't that you're going to go on to bigger or better things. The reason is that you suck at your job. Tucker Carlson's annoying. He's got his idiosyncratic. He's got this whine. He's got a similar whine, to his voice, and, he's got whatever. But he can carry an audience. That's why they're still talking about this over the media. Don Lemon has been forgotten about. You can find 20 stories for Tucker Carlson for every one you find for Don Lemon. Because everyone knows that Don Lemon sucks and his career is over. Tucker Carlson still has got his audience, so he's going to find another place, and he's going to do the same thing he's been doing because he's financially viable. And it's because he's embraced the truther narrative. He sucks. Tucker Carlson was on CNN with his bow tie, and he sucked. He was unwatchable there, right? But then he went on to realize that if he included some of these truther narratives a little bit, that he could, there was energy in it, right? And that's why he's still got an audience and still is being talked about. He's still relevant. Don Lemon's, he's been horrible, but he's gotten worse over the years. And there's, nothing redeeming about him. And so he's going to disappear like he's done. Like he was, wherever he goes from here, nobody's going to see him, not on a national level. And, it's over. It's like it is for Alec Baldwin. But Alec Baldwin still, his story still has some juice in it. Don Lemon's, this is it. Like, this is your moment. This is your last moment in the sun. And for these fame hoes, right, this is, This is everything to them.
And then we'll see what happens in the future.
What do you
But I'm here to I'm actually here to celebrate the people from Time 100 and not talk about me or what's happened to me.
This little part I want to talk about first. No.
That's why I'm here to support those people.
News story this week. You do understand that, right?
Of course I would hope so, being a journalist. I do understand that, but I understand what's important right now, especially for where I am in this event, is to celebrate the people who are here who deserve to be celebrated and not to talk about what's going on with me.
Well, just after I did that, after I did it first, but I gave you a few little sound bites, but made sure that everyone knew I was here, and then no, right? It's just so fake and contrived, just ridiculous. Let's finish this thing up here.
Were you surprised that CNN said you tweeted and then they were like, no, that's not true?
I don't want to comment on that. I'm here to support the people.
Yeah, I don't want to comment on that. I shouldn't even have bothered. Okay, so I'm going to blow through these headlines here because there's so much. I can't even get to all of them. People are sending me stuff, but bunch of dropping like flies stuff sprinkled in here, like just trying to hold it all together here. Biden versus Trump 2024 would be the rematch nobody wants. Well, that's because of the polling, right? I got another thing I'll show you tomorrow where somebody asked Biden, like 70% of people don't want you to run. There's that. A 13-year-old boy was groomed publicly on Twitter and kidnapped despite numerous chances to stop it and warnings from the parents. Halna Hutchins' widower spotted kissing new woman 18 months after fatal Rust shooting. I got a little mashup meme with, this is the new person here. There's his new girlfriend. Here's the mashup meme with him and Alec. CNBC's Hadley Gamble also romantically linked to TPG's David Borderman. So this is the woman that supposedly the producer who's now been fired, or the CEO has now been fired. This is her in her red bottom shoes. Looks pretty faked. She's linked to this guy Gamble, with this woman Gamble with Jeff Shell. This is Jeff Shell. They got him. And this is Bounderman, and he's worth $6.6 billion. Well, we know her from this. She did this famous thing with Bill Gates. I've showed you that before, where she asked Bill Gates about stuff. I'm not going to show you here because I think it's the same woman. So we kind of know this woman. And I mentioned how she was being very sexual in that clip with Bill Gates. Again, it's about the you-know-what, so I'm not going to show you here for obvious reasons. Hunter Biden notified Burisma colleague of planned Blinken meet emails.
So this is a stunning admission from one of the 51 former
I think she's one of the people that called the election for Biden.
Intel officials who signed a statement essentially dismissing the Hunter Biden laptop as Russian disinformation just days before the 2020 election. Look at this testimony. According to House Republicans from former CIA...
Okay, so this isn't about Burisma, whatever. When this thing actually becomes him in handcuffs, then call me, right? When I see Hunter Biden in handcuffs, otherwise, it's just, I'll mention it here, but it's a nothing burger until he's really, he's in trial or he's been arrested or something. John Stamos says he once got the Olsen twins fired from Full House. What a big meanie. That's not cool, dude.
They wanted to be anywhere else but there, and so did I.
Exactly. Those little...
Right, because they were 11 months old.
They were 11
months old.
And God bless them. And they kept switching this one. This one's not going to cry. This one's Mary Kate and or Ashley.
Almost like kids shouldn't act.
Yeah. Well,
almost like we should protect them from these things.
Well, they did.
Yeah, I don't want to go that far.
Okay. Yeah. And all our kids did pretty good off that show, but it was.
No, they're all wrecked. They've all been in rehab. They're wrecked. What are you talking about? They're wrecked. Jodie Sweetin, like 5 marriages, multiple addictions. The older one got bulimia, and the Olsen twins are the Olsen twins. Like they're just,
I couldn't deal with it. And I said, this is not going to work.
Did the Olsens know that they were fired?
They do now.
Did they know at the time?
Like or was it just
No, they're 11 months old. What are you talking about? They didn't even know they had a job.
It's like, hey, you guys get a week off.
It was only a few days, and I said, bring the Olsens back. These kids are terrible.
These other ones are worse. Bring the Olsens back. So this is John Stamos. Look how ghoulish he looks. I didn't get into the ghoulishness of his. I mean, just these, completely ghouled up here. I mean, Hollywood celebrities just don't age well because they're bad people inside and it starts coming out. Julia Louise Dreyfus opens up about the emotionally devastating miscarriage she had at 28. But what's the difference between a miscarriage and an abortion? I mean, other than, human intervention, the effects on a woman are the same. The loss of a child, the loss of a pregnancy, always, is going to result in some level of an negative emotional reaction, depression or something else. Proud Boys blame Trump as defendants prepare to find out fate in sedition trial. Senator Ted Cruz's January scheming exposed in new recording. I don't know. It's just wasting my time here. Biden 80 once attacked 63-year-old rival for being too old. Dear Abby, my wife cheated on me with 10 different men. Now she's homeless. Cut to the chase. Dear Abby said, you should support her because she's broken. Didn't even know that Dear Abby was still a thing. Hunter Biden's legal team meets with Justice Department prosecutors. Again, tell me when he's, when he's arrested. Disney sues Ron DeSantis over control of Florida Park. They want to have their own, it's like the Vatican. They want to have their own police force and all those things. I'm going to get to Jerry Springer in a second because it just broke. Trump pooped me. E. Jean Carroll testifies about alleged attack at trial. So it's not a trial because Trump's not there. It's a lawsuit. I'm here because I'm here because Trump pooped me. Lied, shattered my reputation, and I'm trying to get my life back. And so she was a writer on Saturday Night Live, and she says that they became friends, and then he was very talkative. He was very talkative, and the escalator, and said he was thinking of buying Bergendorf. I was thinking I have a great story, and I was delighted to go to lingerie with him. Lingerie, I don't know what some kind of thing there. He was married to Marla Maples at the time. Carol said each suggested the other try on lingerie. Adding she thought it was funny. She said didn't think anything about it was about to happen because the door was open. He motioned her towards the dressing room. He shut the door, shoved me against the wall. I pushed him back, and then, this event happened, right? And she said she was in pain, and she thought it was her fault. So this is way back in 1987. So this is a substantial amount of time. She never had sex again. She remained celibate after the Trump event, and she wrote an autobiography, and Trump slammed her, which caused her to be traumatized, and so she's suing him for that, right? Trump went after her on social media. So the issues here are, it's possible Trump could have done this. I mean, the one thing against Trump is, there's multiple things, but him saying he would just walk up and grab women by the boop, right? That doesn't help Trump out. But there's no evidence. There's no, Monica Lewinsky dress. There's no, biological, there's no DNA evidence. There's no video. There's nothing. And it's been 36 years. And so it's a he said, she said type of situation. And no one would say this is a good legal case for you. She's not going to win this thing. I mean, it's New York or whatever, but it's just because it's Trump, right? Like, whether Trump did this or not, it's been too long and there's no evidence. And, I mean, it's only the Trump hatred. Trumpers are going to say she's lying. People hate Trump, going to say he did it. They've seen the same thing before. But in reality, there's no proof. And it's just, like, ridiculous. Getting zombied is the new dating trend, and it's worse than ghosted.
Girl, you're being ghosted? I'm out here being zombied. It's like ghosting, but he comes back from the dead after a couple months and hits you up.
No way, you're being zombied. Don't be zombied. Michigan students sue school for banning Let's Go Brandon sweatshirts. All right, I've just got to run out of energy here. Kim Kardashian lookalike and OnlyFans model dies of cardiac arrest after plastic surgery. Why put plastic in your body like that? Just, what? Like, just, I mean, let's just end it here. Speaking of plastic, Jerry Springer, daytime television pioneer, dies at 79. So they got Springer, right? Okay, so I have a few more thoughts on, I just got this Arnold red pill picture I just made. I made like 7 hours ago. I started this video. It's been kind of a weird day. I woke up with a little headache. I haven't had a headache in a while, but I've been so sleepy. There's this big gathering meditation thing happening this weekend for us at Gratefulness, and there's pre-gathering cleaning. So I felt weird. I took a nap, and I woke up, and I just felt groggy, and like it just, like it was like I was brain fog, and I took another nap because I was just like I wasn't awake, and then I took a cold bath, and I finally sort of regained my sense. My headache is kind of gone. But I just want to say a few more things about this E.G. and Carol thing, right? Now, that's a weird story with the lingerie, that they went into a lingerie shop, and they both tried it on. Like, Trump was trying on lingerie with this woman, like, weird. But that kind of story makes it sound more believable because it's so weird, right? This seems to be like an odd lady. But she wrote this book after years, and she says she was traumatized. She never dated again, never had a relationship with a man again after this event with Trump. And she wrote this book. Now, the editors, knowing that this was the only thing that was going to make the book sell, left it in there. Trump is very litigious. I mean, he sues people, but he was president now. So, there was all that. Probably didn't want to, who knows what Trump's doing or not, right? But Trump wasn't going to let this thing go, and he didn't. He said some things about her, and now she's suing him, saying that she's, mentally traumatized. And again, it's in New York State where there's a lot of anti-Trump. All this stuff is happening in New York for Trump. But no legitimate lawyer or legitimate, anybody who's, even if this really did happen to her, they would just say, you need to let it go, right? This is just going to drag on. And if she's traumatized by what happened to her, then going through the court proceedings and having all the Trumpers hate on her and all the stuff that goes along with it. So ultimately only, losing this case, right? I mean, she's not going to win this thing. I mean, I'd be shocked if she did. And so this is, where we are. Like anything Trump, goes against Trump, let's do it, right? This is especially there in New York. And then Jerry Springer died. Anyways, I want to get to the Smurfs. There's some stuff there. And there's things every day I'm leaving behind because it's, I'm still making an hour-long video and I still have all this stuff to cover. But, tomorrow's another day. Only spirituality will save this world. It's Paul Romano, definitely from the apocalypse and the ascension. Everyone have a blessed day and be grateful.